Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Frank. Now, I want to share with you guys 2008 Acura TSX problem that I've been having. I have a um, diagnostic code error code U0107 and actuator control module, no communication to the PCM. Now, I'm going to be showing you guys some things that I've checked, and we'll just go from there. All right. Just wanted to give a little bit of background. I do have mechanic skills. I did work for Ford. I have 19 certified credentials from Ford Lincoln Mercury. But I just kind of wanted to explain to you what I was experiencing with the code. So essentially, I would drive down the road, and intermittently the car would go into limp mode, and I would essentially not go past 2,000 RPMs, and it scared the heck out of me because I couldn't make it over the overpass one day. Um, essentially, the symptoms would be more frequently. For example, every engine cycle, I'd turn the car on, and in a matter of 2 minutes, car would jump into limp mode, and then it would the symptoms would the frequency would become closer and closer. For example, the next time I turn the car on, it would be like less than a minute before we jump into limp mode. All right, now back to the video.
All right, and there is the code, you guys. Infamous U0107. Lost communication with the throttle actuator control module, and it's very hard to tackle because you don't know where, or how, or why it lost connection. So you're gonna have to start from the fuse to the relay, and use the scan tool too. I got this one from Amazon. I was able to use the live data, and I'll show that to you guys in a little bit later. All right, so here I am showing you guys the live data, and you can see here that when I turn the car on, throttle position sensor, there's R and throttle position B percentage, and if you can see in the background, the RPMs are going up and down, and they're responding. Now, when this jumps into limp mode, it loses communication from the PCM to the throttle actuator control module, and those readings, TPR, TPB, they turn to zero. And when it goes into limp mode, if the car doesn't let you go past 2,000 RPMs, and if you remove the intake, you can actually see the throttle blade not move. And again, you can't see. And there's a throttle actuator control percentage, and
All right,
just showing you guys
so
some stuff.
excuse the dogs in the mess, but I've already went ahead and did a lot of work for you. I'm just gonna give you the quick rundown for video's sake. But I've checked the fuses, and that's the fuse number 15 there for the throttle actuator control module. And I'm gonna shine the light on it. Um, it's the blue one. I've checked it, pulled it out, and it works. Um,
At this point, I know I'm getting signal all the way through to the throttle blade actuator. So I know the circuitry's fine. It's just what I'm doing here is the car is running and I can feel the relay click on. And then when it goes into limp mode, I can feel it click off. When it when I put the ignition key on, I can feel it click on, get power. But it's not until when it's running after a minute, it jumps into limp mode, and I can feel it on click. So what I'm doing here is doing a visual inspection. That's the throttle actuator control module, and I'm just looking to see if the connector was corroded or pins or wires, because I know that it's losing communication from this module here to the PCM. In a second, you'll see to the left the carpet's being pulled back, and I'm gaining access to the PCM there.
I took it out, but the PCM sits right up there. Remember that right where my light is shining, and these are the connectors to the PCM here, and they're wet. Um, some more than others, but the connectors, um, you can't really tell too much, but they're moist and they're wet, and they have um, coolant. Essentially, the heater core from the air conditioning and heater. It went out and it's dripping. That's all water, and there's a puddle down here, but that's all water. And show you what the PCM looks like.
Okay, so here is my PCM, and you can see the heater core is right above the PCM, and it busted, and it's leaking onto my um, PCM essentially, and it puddled up right along there. Um, you can see it kind of in darker spots and darker areas there, but it just kind of sat there. But you can see, I'm gonna pull it here in a second. The connectors into the PCM, they're wet, and that was the problem. It was losing communication um, within a matter of a minute or two, and it sees a signal, and if it doesn't have a threshold in or out of that threshold, it'll set a trouble code and go into limp mode. And it was shorting because of the coolant, but that's what I found. But I was able to salvage it and get it back together, and it worked perfectly fine. All right, so I got everything back put together, and I'm in the car now, and you can see that I'm getting signal to the throttle position at the throttle blade, and I'm getting accelerator pedal position, and I've driven it about 10 miles already. It's working great. Biggest takeaway is just look at look at the connections, go through the whole circuitry. Don't just buy parts and throw things at it because you'll buy something that wasn't even wrong to begin with. But I will be making a follow-up video because as you discovered that I have a heater core that's leaking, and I will make a follow-up video with that. But I hope this video helps you guys because it was a pretty troublesome code if you don't know what you're doing. But there you go.